Good evening everyone and welcome to this council meeting on the 13th of October. Start with prayers. Those are able to stand.
Heavenly Father, as we gather tonight, we ask for your wisdom in guiding us through this evening's business. Grant to each the insight and courage of conviction to navigate the decisions placed before the meeting. We thank you for our town of Evesham and for all those who strive to make it a better place in which not just to live but to thrive. Help us to consider our decisions with humility, open hearts and clear minds, and guide our thoughts and actions, and give us the grace and patience to understand other points of view. Grant us all peace, knowing that your hand is guiding us, and that you are directing our steps. Amen. Amen. Come now to questions from members of the public. I know that there are potentially three. I'm going to start with Police Constable Adam Johns, who will give us an update on policing matters in the Evesham area. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm sure most of you know me by now, but PC Adam Johns, as Mayor said. Just going to run through a few stats, few things we've been doing, and then at the end, any questions, or if you just want to jump in and ask them whatever, that's fine. Town centre team, we're going to go from the start of the year. 31 arrests from the town centre team since the start of the year up until today. Our latest one being this morning. From those 31 arrests, we've managed to get 54 charges or prosecutions where somebody's going to court or have court disposals. On the back of those, we've managed to apply for two criminal behaviour orders, which are orders that are granted by the courts. We have to gather the evidence, why they're causing high harm to our communities, and then the courts issue it on the back of prosecution. In that, one male is currently being held in immigration on the back of being a prolific shoplifter in the town centre. We had two good results on the back of arrests. Two of our us arresting him and investigating him numerous times. And recently we had two good results on the back of arrests. Two of our most prolific offenders have been given a combined custodial of 25 weeks. So you have your own opinions on custodial sentencing, but 25 weeks isn't bad. So it'll give us a little bit of time to focus on other things. Current priorities, we're getting increased reports regarding Workman Gardens and Monk's Walk. We think they are linked in the antisocial behaviour. So we will be trying to do more high visibility patrols around that area in the coming weeks. DISC, I mentioned the last time, I think I was here in April. DISC is the website or the app that was being brought in for better communication between us and retail premises. DISC has gone live, I believe it was either today or yesterday. We've currently got 25 members or stores, businesses that are linked up so they communicate with us better. So if you do know anybody with businesses, please refer them to the town centre team. We'll get them signed up onto DISC, and then later I believe maybe radios might be coming in. But it's positive that 27 people have already joined it. So that will be better for them and obviously for us. Mock Fair obviously is just been gone. Pleased to say we actually had 0 reports live on the 3 days that it was here. Whether people did report at the time, but we didn't have any reports, which is a big success. I know obviously the councillors were there. And another positive, staffing-wise in the town centre, we've got PC Lucy Reeve. She's joined myself and PC Beards, so we are fully staffed again on the town centre team, the 3 of us. PC Eve Marshall is taking over the neighbourhood side of things for the town centre, and I'm sure she'll be attending maybe the next town council meeting to introduce what's on and any questions you have. So I just whirled through all that. Is there any questions? Any problems you need to raise to me?
You've been arrested and
Yep.
total of 54 charges.
Yeah.
How many were arrested but not charged, please?
I haven't got that stat. I can definitely find out for you. I know our shoplifting, so this is just specifically theft. I believe we're operating at over 85% if we arrest somebody or have a crime in our basket that goes to prosecution. So 15% on shoplifting. We haven't managed to get a good result on or a successful result.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions?
You know what I'm going to ask, don't you?
Port Street?
Yes. It's a continuing problem,
Yeah.
and it's getting worse because it's habituated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've talked to you about it.
Yep.
We're still waiting for the government to do their pavement parking review, and I've written to our local MP again very recently about it.
Yep.
Have you got any solutions?
I mean, we have got powers. Police have got powers to move on, and I appreciate you'll probably see cars going up and maybe not dealing with the situation, they're probably going to something else. It's just going to take us going up there and doing some active engagement. I think a lot of it, well, some of it might come down to education, and even if we're not giving out tickets, which we can do, we could just give them words of advice using our discretion. And it could be something that we do with councillors. So it's a collective, and obviously traffic wardens, more of a collective approach rather than just sitting with the police.
Yeah. As I travel that route, well, back from town council, I don't linger there, but I've reported 15 incidents on operations.
Yeah.
And of course that's the obvious ones on the on the zebra cross, on the control crossings there.
Yeah.
So which they can take up.
Yeah.
And they take more of those, I think.
Yeah.
There was one parking on the pavement
Mm-hmm.
where it was so narrow it was obvious they couldn't get through, which they took up. And another one where the gap was perhaps hard to define.
Yeah.
So if that gap is so narrow, you see it, and no one can get through, that is an offence. But it also comes, I wonder about taking video of people driving on pavement. because that, as I understand, is a legal offence.
Yep.
So would you encourage us to do Operation Snap with people driving on the pavement?
Yeah, I would. Anything you think is a criminal offence, report it to them.
Yeah.
They will triage it,
Yeah.
because it's a totally different thing to obviously Bobby's on the ground.
Yeah.
They will either tell you they're either
Yeah.
pursuing it or not.
Yeah.
But Operation Snap is a fantastic thing. There was it 15 reports you've made, did you say? All 15 have gone through, so it is positive, and I would encourage everybody to use it, rather than potentially reporting it to your local police officers. That's what that team is designed to do, try and spread the workload a little bit, and that's what they are like the specialists in.
But you don't get any notion of what those reports are or how many?
No, we've had this conversation
Yeah.
before. We never get any feedback from OpSnap, which I think, and we've had discussions before.
It's a disaster.
Maybe we think we should. Maybe you should, as the person reporting it. Like I said, I can feed it back again. I
Who
don't know
should
how.
we lobby?
Pardon, sir?
Who should we lobby so you get those reports?
I'd probably just speak to my sergeant, see if he knows anybody.
Police Commissioner of Worcestershire, maybe?
Possibly. I didn't know whether it was a national standard or a local
I
standard.
honestly don't know too much about it. But maybe if I speak to my sergeant, see if he knows, see if he can speak to any management.
I think we'd be all very interested in that.
Yeah, that's absolutely
Thank you.
fine. No worries at all.
Are there any other questions? Judith Tucker.
Yes, I don't know if you can cover this because it's not in the town centre, but there have been several reports of antisocial behaviour around the Morrison's area. Do you know anything about that and whether that's calmed down or?
I do. I believe it has massively calmed down. There's definitely 4 people involved, 3 young males and a young female. We're actually investigating them for a criminal offence at the minute, but we know they've been directly linked to Morrison's and McDonald's. We haven't had any reports since it was reported to me previously, and we interviewed them last week. And we haven't had any reports, so touch wood that they've learnt their lesson maybe. Fingers crossed.
Anybody else? Okay, in that case, thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
You're welcome to stay, or if you've got duties, which is why I gave you in first.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just think if I'm not here the next one, or we don't come for a couple, just email into one of our team inboxes if you've got any questions. That's probably the easiest way. But hopefully the next one, PC Marshall will be here, or PC Lane to carry it out. Is that all right? Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
And you.
Just a quick update on that, so Adam knows about. When we had a meeting recently with Sergeant Dampneves, we want to reintroduce the community walkabouts that we did last year, and it will be ward by ward, and councillors will be encouraged to join with those walkabouts. And I'm in the process of compiling a list of areas, so if you'd like your area specifically listed, let me know. The contact I have then is with Justin Lane, who's one of the police officers, and arrangements will be made for suitable
I understand,
dates and time.
Christopher Hemming,
Okay?
you have a question?
I understand, Christopher Hemming, you have a question?
Yeah, it's more of I'm aware Councillor Goose and Councillor Stokes and Mr Burstow are aware of this. I'm more of making a bit of awareness. There's a potential issue coming forward. I know Councillor Goose and Mr Stokes have been very proactive and Mr Burstow fantastic already. Funny you mentioned about Port Street. So I'm a resident, I live next door to the Angel Bolts pub. Now we all know the Angel Bolts, very accurate, it has its own history in Evesham for good or bad reasons, a lot better pub than it was in the 80s. I'm coming here today to make you aware there's an imminent planning application about to go through. They want to put a pub car park on the pub beer garden on the 4 car parking spaces. Now, again, it hasn't gone through yet. I've been made aware by the brewery your own range of vaults that it will be going through. It's the most ludicrous idea you'll ever hear. I have Tourette's, mental health and autism. I literally live 5 metres behind that car park. There's individuals in that whole block. The whole block's on a rooftop, and a rooftop is totally against it. They all have mental health issues or difficulties in that block. If you know Port Street, if you go along there on a Friday night, it's a joke. I know a gentleman loses parking here, you think it's bad in the daytime. You go along that time, if I was a parking warden, if they were on commission, making probably 100 quid a night. It's that bad. So I'm just here to make you aware. I'm asking the parish council, the town council, sorry, one thing in particular. I want you to put the fire out before it starts, all right? Because actually, I know you can't come particularly on an application that hasn't got in, but a bit of democracy, a bit of work, the brewery and say this is a highly inappropriate application. I'm just asking the town council to be aware that this sort of application isn't appropriate. I understand there's a climate at the moment of planning permission being accepted. You know, we're in a climate where the government is pushing for houses.
Christopher, I'm not going to
Actually,
I'm just going to stop
there needs
you
to be a
there.
balance between
Because your comments
building
are
those
very
houses
valid,
and having those
and I'm grateful
developments,
for you bringing it to our
looking after
attention
the residents who live in the area.
ahead of time.
And this is most
You're
important.
quite right, it's not a live application at this moment in
Because
time.
your comments are very
When
valid,
it is,
and
it will
we're
come
grateful for the planning committee of this council. The chairman is Peter Scurfield, the vice chairman is Robert Hale,
Yeah.
and it will be dealt with at that time. You will be welcome to attend and say exactly what you said tonight, but that is the place to do it.
No, I know. I just want to
Okay.
make people aware.
No, I appreciate that, and I thank you for bringing it to our attention ahead of time. Councillor Hale, do you want to say anything?
I know just that if you bring it to the planning committee,
Yeah.
that's the place to do it, and we can fully discuss it then.
Okay, I apologise about my wrong time.
No, that's fine.
Thank you for taking your time. Thank you. Cheers.
Good night.
Bye.
Now, before we move on, there's agenda item 13, public rights of way consultation. Alan Saunders? Yes. So you don't have to sit through the whole of the meeting until it comes to it. Would you like to have your say now, and then council can discuss it accordingly? So it's item 13 is being taken now.
Okay, well, thank you for inviting me to speak. I'm Alan Saunders. I'm a member of the Evesham Welcomes Walkers Steering Group. In a recent Guardian article, Evesham was recognised as second happiest place to live in the UK. But it did report that Evesham had beautiful surrounding countryside and lovely riverside walks. So what a good place to promote walking. We are all aware of the benefits of walking, one's health, general well-being, and additionally bringing walkers into the town boosts the local economy. Evesham was accredited as a Walkers are Welcome town in 2023 after 5 years of hard work by volunteers supported by yourselves, Wychavon and Worcester County Council. You actually funded us with a £40,000 new homes bonus 5 years ago, which we used to improve the footpath network in and around Evesham. We created the Round Evesham Walk, which is extremely popular with both locals and visitors to the town. We designed and had installed information boards around the route of the Round Evesham Walk. We created 6 circular walks encompassing villages around Evesham. And from 2019, we've run an annual Evesham Walking Festival in June, which attracts walkers from all over the country. None of this could have been achieved without the hard work of a group of about 30 volunteers who met monthly, supported by the County Public Rights of Way team, to clear and maintain the overgrown footpaths, replace broken stars with gates and kitting gates, replace rotten broken ditch crossings. We installed a riverside boardwalk, We installed steps up Clark's Hill, and we waymarked all the footpaths and bridleways. All the materials were supplied by the county, and everyone was covered for insurance purposes. The county provided training for supervising, operating the equipment, health and safety and first aid, so that the group could work without their support. By the beginning of 2023, the paths and bridleways were in a much better condition than they had ever been, and this gave us confidence to apply for Walkers Welcome status. Since gaining accreditation, Evesham Welcomes Walkers has raised awareness of walking opportunities in and around town by launching an Evesham Welcomes Walkers website, providing information on walks in the area, local walking groups, food and accommodation hospitality, partnering with businesses in and around the town who sponsor Evesham Welcomes Walkers and display Walkers are Welcome window stickers. You might see these around the town. There are about 20 businesses now signed up in and around the town who display this sticker in their window. They pay us £25 a year for the pleasure. We've placed information boards detailing local walks on both platforms of Evesham railway station. We've instigated the placing of a further local walking information board in the valley. We've devised annual pilgrim walks in partnership with the Almonry and the Battle of Evesham Committee. We have display stands at all the local festivals and events, and we are presently devising a tear-off pad showing local walks in the town itself to be made available at the Tourist Information Centre. We should have that ready in about a month's time. Having achieved all this, we must not be complacent. It is essential that as many people and organisations as possible complete the Worcestershire County Council Rights of Way Improvement Plan. Since the beginning of 2024, the Public Rights of Way team has gone from 8 employers down to 3, and that's had a severe impact on what we've been able to do. They've been unable to support any voluntary working parties since then. It's not only in Evesham, there are about 15 or 20 voluntary groups across the county who meet monthly to carry out footpath work, and none of them have been able to do anything for 2 years because there isn't the staff in the county to support them. The county's been able to train any volunteers. They have no staff available to carry out any routine inspections of issues reported by the public on footpaths. And at the moment, their only focus is any issues where safety to the general public is a priority. So the Public Rights of Way team at the county is virtually ground to a halt. Looking on the positive side, I've heard that they will be advertising shortly to fill all the vacant posts. But it will take at least another 12 months before all their staff are trained up, so nothing much is going to happen in the next 12 months. But Evesham is in a better place than nearly everywhere else because of the work that we've carried out over the last 5 years. All the footpaths in and around Evesham are in a reasonably good state. But going ahead to the actual plan itself, these are the issues that I think are important for you to flag up. There is evidence of cycles, e-bikes, e-scooters and motorbikes using the public footpaths. Dog fouling and litter is a big issue. We're forever litter picking around Evesham Walk, and we've also had instances of fly tipping on public footpaths. Some footpaths are overgrown and require constant maintenance. We have brush cutters and strimmers, and we're out all the time clearing the footpaths to keep them clear. There are particular paths where improvement to the surface would assist users. I'm especially thinking of the round Evesham Walk from the fish trap round to Hampton Ferry. that was tarmac, we could have a lovely tarmac route for wheelchair users all the way, and then back up the lane. So that's a priority. The steps that we installed on Clark's Hill are getting in a bad state of repair, they need resurfacing. Some farmers are still not using the statutory width for footpaths and bridleways and are not reinstating footpaths where fields have been ploughed or planted. And we still have instances of antisocial behaviour. Every year, waymark posts go missing, and we have to replace them. They just pull them up and throw them in the river. The information boards that we put all around the river are completely sprayed all over them. We have to keep removing it. So that's a real issue. So the priorities really for improving the footpaths are regular clearance of overgrown footpaths, improve the surfaces of footpaths, especially ones close to the town, ensure that local landowners maintain legal path widths, deal proactively with antisocial behaviour, and also once the county get back up to speed, respond to issues that we report, because at the moment they're not. Okay? I think one of the things where improvements really need to be done, the county need to prioritise and support the existing voluntary groups. As I said, there are between 15 and 20 groups across the county, and none of them have done any work in the last 2 years. So if we have their support, because the county don't do any footpath work at all themselves, they rely on the volunteer groups to do all the work for them. Okay? They need to provide training for voluntary groups. I've got several members who've been waiting for training for the last 3 years and they're still waiting. And I think the other thing is we need to give the voluntary groups much more autonomy to deal with landowners direct. At the moment we have to do everything through the county council, which takes a long time. The other issue is developments. You're all aware there's lots of development going on around Evesham at the moment. Now, I'm a member of the Ramblers, so any planning application that comes in where there's a footpath issue, it comes across to me to make comments, which I do. And whereas I used to be dealing with maybe 1 or 2 a month, I'm now dealing with 4 or 5 a week. And there are real issues on some of the developments around Evesham. I'll particularly mention the Highfield Road Red Lane development, because of the footpath which is going to be severely impacted by that, and also the development which is likely to happen along the Isbourne. Again, there's a major footpath issue there if that goes ahead. But also a lot of the villages, Babsey, the Littletons, Cropthorne, Offnham, Cleethbriar, they've all got footpath issues on new developments. So that's a real worry. Okay. And lastly, on a positive note, if we've got a well-maintained, accessible and well-signed network of footpaths, and long may it continue. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Alan. Comprehensive report on matters involving public rights of way. You've all had the paper, so you'll see on page 2 the link to take part in the survey and or the questionnaire rather, and make your comments known. The closing date, as you see, is the 26th of October. And thank you, Alan. Are there any questions for Alan at this time?
I was just wondering if your comments would be in the minutes of this meeting, just so that we've got something to refer to.
Yeah, I'd like to support Alan and thank him for all his work he's been doing over the years. And he's, quiet lad as he is, he's done an enormous amount of work to support us. Going forward, and I don't know how restricted the whole system is by national regulation, we have to think think how we're going to maintain these footpaths for the longer term, which means modern machinery. That's not big tractors. To my mind, that's mini tractors or vineyard tractors that you can maintain bridleways. And that also the maintenance needs to be a little bit more integrated with pathways along roads from a signage point of view as well. So we should have signs from the centre of Evesham to all these footpaths, not halfway along a road and a hedge lost, so people can find them. And much of the equipment that could and should be used to maintain road footpaths could be used, if it's the right small stuff, for country highways. And that means, to my mind, a re-examination of, for instance, like Kissing Gate, so you can get a tractor through. Same idea, Kissing Gate, but you can unlock it, so you can get a narrow tractor through with a hedge cutter, and it would make things cheaper to do and more effective.
We have installed some kissing gates recently with radar keys, which
Yeah,
save
that
people.
that idea. But if you make it
Yeah.
slightly wider, and not much, and you would get a tractor through. So it needs some radical thinking. And I'd also like to remind people that there are 1 or 2 footpaths that aren't footpaths in Evesham that should be. Of course, the limit on defining those footpaths has now been lifted from 2026. And those, as Evesham grows out, those footpaths are important to more and more people. I'm thinking of one in particular, and it would be not just a good footpath, it was a good cycleway as well. Thank you.
Yeah, all good valid points, but obviously I would suggest that those points go into the questionnaire when you... I appreciate that, but you know, I think those are valid points, and I would encourage you to put those into the questionnaire. Councillor Sandbass.
Yeah, thanks for explaining all that, Alan. You've taught me a lot as well. I'm a county councillor, so if you want to give me your details, we will speak after this.
Yeah.
And see how I can help.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm off now.
Yeah, write it down. I'll take it.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Will do.
Councillor Anderson.
Julie will do it.
I've already got them, so.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. You mentioned Highfield
Yeah.
In your remarks there. I wasn't aware that there was any change now to the footpath that's there, and nothing's been started yet, unless you're telling me different.
No, but the footpath is the footpath at the top of as you come off Red Lane, which runs along the top of the bank there.
That's it.
2 of our circular walks are along that path.
But that path's going to be rerouted once the development starts, yes? You're aware of that?
Yes, but I'm concerned that the footpath, when the development starts, that they'll close the footpath.
Well, if they do...
I mean, I've made my comments made.
Robbie, it's all our wards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I am, and these guys are, so
Yeah.
just give me the heads up. If it does,
Yes.
and then we'll
Yeah.
get something done.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah. Thank you for all your hard work. I just wanted to ask you, for people that are not particularly necessarily dedicated walkers who want to walk the 8 miles all around Evesham, have you got smaller plaques and where people could say walk down Bridge Street, along the river, back up by the ferry and back up Boat Lane? So you've got the small circular walk.
So if you look at the Round Evesham Walk, which I mean, there's lots of information boards around the town which show the Round Evesham Walk.
Yeah.
Now, if you walk along the Round Evesham Walk, every time there is a cut-off point, there is a waymark this showing the way back into the town.
Yeah.
And that's waymarked back, so people can walk as little or as much of the Round Evesham Walk as they want.
It's all signposted there already.
Yeah, they're already signposted. Yeah.
Anybody, anything else? Okay, in that case, Alan, thank you very much indeed. Again, you're welcome to stay for the rest, or you can...
Mr Mayor, I think you...
Yeah, well, obviously I just wanted to thank Alan as well because it was very good of him to come along.
one of the first questions that we've got to fill in as a parish is, do we have a warden, a footpath warden, which I don't believe we have, but can, Jo, can you tell us different?
Can I turn the microphones on and off?
Yeah, I'll be doing it.
Yeah, sorry.
It just keeps going. Oh, thank you.
I don't think we have a warden, but we do have walkers welcome, so who are working closely with the county already. So if you wanted to nominate a warden, then that would be absolutely fine. But usually you'd apply to the county to do that, and obviously have dialogue with them already.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking and I suggested somebody from Walkers are Welcome who may well be willing to. So
From memory, there used to be a parish path warden. He was a civil servant in Hampton, and I'm not sure whether he's still in post.
Council will know.
Yeah, they will know.
Because the role is very much between the
Yeah.
PW and the county rather than ourselves.
Well, I used to be the parish path warden for the Littleton, Fleet, Choir and Brecon, and I've just retired from those posts. But I think it's really important to have parish path wardens because they can keep an eye on the footpaths in the town, and even if they only report the issues, at least there's somebody with an eye on the ball. Yeah.
we probably have somebody to bring forward.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, microphones don't seem to be working for this one, isn't. If you notice on the agenda, this is an introduction to a consultation. It's not a debate here. And the report was been received and able to be served. One more person to speak, Councillor Robert Hale, and then we're moving on.
Yeah, just to report, we did have, I think, 2 parish wardens who one who I know, Deirdre Sutton, and they resigned about 6 or 8 years in despair. Yeah, no, that's right, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Gail. Right, moving on to the main items of the agenda. Apologies for absence.
Yes, we've had apologies from Councillor Scurfield and Councillor Campbell-Muir.
Thank you. Item 2 is of pecuniary interest. Deputy Mayor.
I don't know exactly pecuniary interest, but when it comes to item 15, I would actually just leave the room while it's discussed as I have a vested interest, and as you all probably know, I go to the fair, so if you want to ask any questions,
I will too.
But I don't think it's appropriate if I sit in on the
Yes, I'll have to as well.
Okay, any other mentions? Okay, thank you. Item 3, apology for Councillor Nishidaki following a breach of the code of conduct. Councillor Nishidaki. On the 5th of June, it was passed by Council that you were to issue a written apology for your breach of the code of conduct, and to date you have failed to do so. It will be referred to each monthly agenda until the action required has been undertaken. Thank you. Item 4, announcements by myself.
Mr. Mayor, I think there might be a comeback.
Before we came into the room, passed me this. Councillors, with reference to this agenda item, I will not be making any further apology. The matter is still the local government ombudsman, who have a backlog, and the Solicitors Regulatory Authority. As such, I will not be engaging in any discussion over this matter until the conclusion of these investigations.
That's what you take it.
Pass this, and I've read it, and I've requested.
Okay, following advice from the town clerk, that comment will be inquired to the legal department at Whithaven and we'll come back to you. So, agenda item 4, announcements. Since the last meeting, the Mayoress and myself have attended 10 further events and functions, ranging from opening a particular, whether it be a shop or whatever, to civic services and otherwise. But I'm not going to go through all 10 because A, it's a long agenda, and 2, it's down to individuals. It means that the year to date we have now attended 61 events, and I will keep the town clerk updated with a list of those. A reminder, Robbie has put out quiz night information in front of you, 31st of November. Hampton Social Club is booked, and although it says there about tickets or places, it's going to be effectively pay as you arrive, and those who want to come, you're more than welcome. Thank you to all of those who supported the Mayor's Ball recently. An enjoyable evening, and as I say, to those who attended, thank you for your support. I would just point out that there was two generous raffle prize donations made by Councillor Peter Sturfield, and I'd just like that noted, please. Also, thanks to councillors who supported the mock recently. We were fortunate in that we had the better part of the weather, but there were a lot of people there and it was very well supported, and my thanks to you for giving up the evening and supporting that. As I mentioned before, I, along with Councillor Robbie Raphael and the Mayoress, had a meeting with Sergeant Duncan Eads with regards to policing updates from his perspective, and as I mentioned, we want to continue with the community walkabouts, and I will give details to the town clerk to attach to the minutes as to what and how we propose to go about that. A reminder that the Remembrance Service is on the 9th of November, and it is a council's rolling event. Details for that will come out later. This is just an advance warning to that extent. And finally, you may have seen, hopefully seen around the town, the 2 council vans have had town council livery put on each side and the back, and it looks very good, and it's been a long time coming, but it does identify the vans when they're parked up, and they are council vans and not Joe Bloggs just simply parking up because it's somewhere convenient to park. And they do look very, very good. That's the end of my announcements as I have at the moment. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you for that. In that case, I'll move on to agenda item 5, updates from the district, and Councillor Emma Stokes has kindly offered to update us on district.
Thank you. As the Riverside, continues to be the top of our agenda, continually pushing it, we're hoping that some sort of response and some sort of deal will actually be happening in November. But we are only the adjudicators in this process. We can introduce the 2 parties, and hopefully we'll get them to meet at some point. Well, they've met, but obviously meet metaphorically, and go forward and turn this Riverside into a good area rather than what it is at this precise moment in time. The second thing is the resident survey has actually started. I think it started yesterday, and it just says go online, register what you think is good about the area, good about the town, good about Whichaven services, and there's an opportunity to win some vouchers, £100 voucher, so that might be tempting. Whichaven also, about 12 months ago, had what we call a peer challenge, which is where Whichaven is assessed by other local district councillors and they make comments. Now they did perceive Whichaven to be a good council, but they wanted to make sure that we were on our road to being a great council. So they came back this last September, updated us on a few issues, and they informed us that the local government reorganisation process is going well. They're seeing the implementation. They're happy with the staff integration, happy with the councillor and member integration. So, you know, going forward, the local government reorganisation will be happening, and the process in place is continuing, and it's continuing well, so that's good. And then more of a local one, and we all know that we've all got inboxes showing the street cleaning. Well, Councillor Dyke organised a street cleaning party a few weeks ago. We saw a very clever device that's really very simple, and things are moving forward on that. And also from me as an executive at Whichaven, I'm now seeking contractual differences, and that's now being discussed at Whichaven at executive level on Wednesday morning. We all know that we're looking for a better outcome specifically for our town centre, so that's what I'm pushing for. So that's the update from Whichaven. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Are there any questions from anybody?
Thank you for your report. With regards to street cleaning, I don't know whether it's true, but it's brought to my attention that the people that have got the contract for cleaning the streets have got to just for Evesham, Herschel and Malvern or whatever in the area, and then it turns out they've only got 2 machines that actually brush and sweep and clean belonging to the company, and I thought that was rather inadequate, really, to look after the towns in the area. With just 2, you know, brush, back, clean, sweep, whatever they call them.
They do have other blowers, they do have other brooms, they do have, you know, sweeping materials, so they can do their job. I don't specifically know which 2 machines you're referring to, Bill. I can go and have a look.
They drive around and they blow a bit of water around and they sweep the floor and they go along and the floor's clean. Yeah.
But then that would be a deep clean, that wouldn't be a clean that would be used every day. So 2 would seem perfectly reasonable for that.
How often would they do that?
Deep clean is at least once a year.
Oh. Well, then, sorry, I'd like to put it on record as we'd like that to be adjusted, please, because the town is dirty and we have lots of complaints from people. There are little particular people around that are doing a good job and they are getting on with the job, but I think we need it to be a little bit more...
There's different types of cleaning, obviously. Yeah. A deep clean is an annual, and that's contractual.
Yeah.
I really have no idea either precisely how many of them there are, but I am absolutely certain there is more than 2 because I have seen 3 of them queuing up to reload with water at once in Evesham. If you're talking about just the general street cleaning lorries that truck go, so yes, definitely more. There's definitely more than 2 of them. I've seen 3 of them in Evesham at once together. So I suspect that you're a victim of fake news there, and rather, yeah. I mean, I don't know how many there are in total. I'm sure we can probably find out.
So you're talking about the drive ones or the handheld ones?
I think you mean the ones that come along with a little chap driving it like a ride-on mower, and he cleans up all the mess.
Yeah, there's only 2 of those. The big sweepers, we've got many of those.
I don't mean the big lorries. I mean one that just goes around the waste bins and up to the shop front. I mean the one that did the lorries, they just do along the curb rooftops,
No,
don't they?
no,
You want
there-
pavements.
No, there is a lorry that does the pavement.
Oh, it's the lorry that does the pavement?
Yeah, yeah. So I will check, I'll get their correct
Yeah.
names for you.
Yeah. 'Cause that is one of the big bugbears that we keep dealing with.
Okay, that's all the health qualified.
I'm wondering how you're going to get a better outcome with better specification. Also, I went to a thing called Groundfest about 3 weeks ago at Stoney, which is a big event for estate management. They had a lot of pavement cleaning stuff there. And there's a lot more modern equipment getting about, and I think that's perhaps one of the answers for getting the grasses out the corners and all this sort of thing.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, and obviously the contract is actually 10 years old, so
Yeah.
inevitably the machinery is also 10 years old.
But a lot of this equipment was clearly quite recent, you know, and
So
battery
what's your
powered.
question, Councillor Hale?
Sorry?
What's your question?
How do you intend to ensure a better outcome?
By changing the specification.
Okay, thank you.
How often do they clean Bridge Street?
Bridge Street will be every morning.
Every morning. Can they try and get the chewing gum off them?
Chewing gum comes with a special, we do have to do a special clean with that.
Yeah.
It does have to be specifically with a boiling contraption that steams off the chewing gum. I've seen it done a couple of years ago and it does need doing again.
Any further questions? No, okay, in that case, number item 6, clerk's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Right, so update on our larger projects, cemetery land. We've got meetings with landowners regarding potential options for cemetery lands. It's good news, so hopefully we may be able to bypass using the allotments. We're not out of the woods yet, but it's going in the right direction. Town Hall, PJK Investments have not paid any of our invoices, which is pretty disappointing, not particularly surprised. We've answered all of their queries. They came back with a couple of queries, but it's disappointing, there's no doubt about it. So we're continuing to chase. In other news, we're looking for volunteers to help out at the bonfire. So if you'd like to sell tickets, marshal, deal with traffic, anything else you like, we'd be very happy to hear from you indeed. Preparations are underway for this year's Remembrance Day service, which is on the 9th of November. We met with the church regarding the service, and we're looking into the possibility of a screen to stream proceedings so that the people behind the War Memorial can see better than they currently can because of the orientation of the War Memorial itself. Now, also, councils will be aware that a recent consultation was held into regard remote meetings. These, of course, were introduced during COVID, and then the legislation ended, so we were back in the room, but consultation was held by government to look into longer-term remote meetings and also proxy voting meetings. The government's considered the responses, and they've issued the following conclusions. The government is of the view that in-person authority meetings remain vital for local democracy, but that hybrid and remote attendance and proxy voting will enable local authorities in England to develop more modern, accessible and flexible working practices. Government has carefully considered arguments for and against remote attendance and proxy voting, and will legislate to support provision of both policies when parliamentary time allows. On remote attendance, the government plans to permit local authorities to develop their own locally appropriate policies if they decide to hold remote meetings. On proxy voting, the government plans to require principal authorities, that's unitary county and districts and boroughs, they can implement proxy voting schemes so they are required to introduce proxy voting schemes. And this is to provide consistency for members who are absent when they become a new parent or for serious or long-term illness, for meetings of full council. For other meetings, proxy voting may be used but will not be required. The government plans for other local authorities, such as ourselves, to be enabled but not required to implement proxy voting schemes for any of their meetings. And in due course, the government will be issuing guidance in relation to both remote attendance and proxy voting policies. At the moment, though, it's not it's not in law, but and we're waiting for them to find parliamentary time. With the Green Team, they are concentrating on bonfire preparation and also planting winter flowers. With the recent rain, mowing has resumed and general tidying up of the cemeteries. Plug plants, of which we have very many, have arrived, and that planting has been planned, and Julie will be leading on that. And finally, will the following councillors stay after the meeting, please? Councillor Tucker, Councillor Googe, Councillor Dyke, and members of the Devolution Working Group, please. And that's the end of my report, unless anyone's got any questions.
I've got a Green Team question. Several of them, it looked as if a lot of the newly planted trees at the front of Waterside Cemetery had suffered badly from our very long, dry summer. Is that the case? Have we lost any trees there, and are we going to replace them if we have?
The short answer is yes to all of it. We have lost quite a few. But fortunately, we have been given some more help from Natural Networks, and so we will be replanting so that the hedge can get going. That's the idea.
Okay, any further questions of the Town Clerk? Okay, in that case, I'll move on to agenda item 7, reports from outside bodies. None have actually come in to the office, but if any councillors who represent the council on any of the outside bodies would like to make a report now, I'm happy to take them. Okay, in that case, I will just make one. I didn't do this under announcements because it's to do with one of the outside bodies that this council supports, and that is the Vale Volunteers. And myself and Councillor Sue Moore represent the council on their management board, and we have had an unfortunate notification that Helen Gray, who is the Chief Operating Officer's son, was pulled out of the Thames a few weeks ago, and it is the funeral on the 20th of this month. We are looking to attend. We're not going as representatives of the council, but just simply because of the link between ourselves and that organisation. And if anybody else is interested to go along, it is one of my Mayor's charities, so if anyone is interested to go, you'd be more than welcome. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't consider an outside body, but we met, Sharon, myself, and Joe was there, and we had an online meeting with to the idea of wall painting in Evesham. With the county council official and two artists, one who'd done the Worcester painting and one who'd done the Stratford painting. And the idea is to roll it out in Evesham as well. You may have seen ideas, particularly for the Abbey Bridge on the concrete under there. I was quite stunned by the quality of the art. It seems to have been very successful. They had lots of community engagement. It was a reason to wander around the town. In Worcester, they reckon they had 18,000 visitors to it. It would actually reduce the amount of graffiti in the town, and they've had very little vandalism on it as well, which was I found interesting. We have a couple of links to it. Perhaps we'll be able to circulate those two links for councillors. I'm not quite sure on funding yet, but we're all a bit stark in this country, but if you've ever been to Bavaria in Austria, they paint beautiful artwork, and I don't see why we shouldn't brighten up our town a little bit as well. So I'd like to recommend that we gradually proceed along those lines.
Just to add that the Worcester Paint Festival has got a website. If you Google Worcester Paint Festival, you can see a map showing where the various murals are and also examples of them. Some of them sort of nature orientated and really rather nice and restful.
Yeah. I'd say the Abbey Bridge is the obvious one. I was trying to think where else I would put it, and I'm scratching my head a bit. So as you go around town, do think, or we could put a picture there, so we are prepared when it gets there.
Just on your point there about the Abbey Bridge, there is currently a group involved and an artist has been identified, and that is being progressed at this moment in time. But it doesn't come under this specifically because it's not linked to this council. But as we get updates, they will be brought to the council. Right, back to the order. Councillor Stokes.
Who would actually be choosing the depiction or what they actually going to decide the drawings are?
Well, it's very early stages. They make the point it's very much about the community engagement, the local art groups as well. I'm not quite sure who and how they chose which designs, I must say. That doesn't sort of range.
Okay, so we don't know.
We don't know. It's at an early stage, but I think the principle is right.
And how much is it going to cost?
That's the other question we don't know yet.
They were very cagey on the subject of money.
Yeah.
So we don't know what it is or what it costs.
There is some funding there.
And at least I can remember, and then the Scarab is the vehicle.
It's a question along the same lines. Will it be following the similar vein as the Worcester and Stratford one?
I would hope so, yeah. That's how it was sold to us.
It depicts like, we've got a rich history in this town, so
yeah.
you're depicting like illustrations of the battlefield and things like that.
Yeah, certainly appropriate to a particular point,
Yeah.
Yeah, I can add to that as well. I've booked them in to do a presentation in November. So obviously they'd need to talk to everybody about it before any kind of approval is given. So they'll come along and talk a little bit more about their work in Worcester and Stratford. It tends to start off fairly small. They talked about maybe doing 4, planning for 4 installations in the first instance. I mean, these sort of things that they've got in Stratford and in Worcester they're not all in the town centre. Many of them are not in the town centre. They're in communities on estates, anywhere where it's, for example, if you've got a big gable wall that's a bit run down, that's a really good canvas. And it can look really amazing. So under the bridge is certainly one location, but they were talking about doing a couple of small ones and one main one. And then, it grows from there. So, but you will hear more about it at the next meeting.
Any further questions for the town? Councillor.
Not a question, Mr. Mayor, but a comment. For those of you who go to Cheltenham, if you go to Queen Elizabeth, not Drive.
Where?
You go up there anyway, there's some fantastic art on gable ends and all that. You've seen it, fantastic. And the other thing is in Cheltenham, on Bath Road, as you go out of Cheltenham, they've had the GPO boxes, all those painted. In fact, that gave me the idea to do it up where Thistledown, where I did that a few years ago now. But they're still there and they're still working well. And that was a wraparound, so it doesn't need necessarily to be painted. It can be something that could be, this clever stuff. There's sort of shrink it on.
Doing so
they can do that as well. There's lots of things that can be done. There's, and we need to embrace that.
Doing those sort of boxes was mentioned.
Yeah, it really does transform.
Yeah. Okay, any further questions? No, in that case, moving on to the minutes of the previous meeting. Yeah, wait a minute. One observation that I'd like to make, just simply typing, with councillors attending after Bill Kimberley, could it be put in brackets, Deputy Mayor, please? Okay, in future. And I also know that Councillor Marion Griffiths wants to make a comment about one of the items.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd appreciate it if the road name request could possibly include 3 words, county, district and town, when describing Peter Griffiths. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, I'm referring to the road name request item, no, beg your pardon, minute 163.
Right.
I would appreciate if 3 words could be added to the first sentence, county, district and town, when regarding Peter Griffiths.
Right, okay. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, thank you.
End of.
Okay, having gone through the minutes, I'm happy with those amendments. I'm happy to propose from the chair. Is there a second, please? Karen, those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? 1 abstention. Okay, thank you. Moving on now to committee minutes. There are proposed to be 2, planning and estates, but the chairman is not here. Do you have a report in his absence? Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to propose the minutes for the 2 meetings. It's the 28th of 28th of August, I think, and the 22nd of September. I'd like to propose those minutes as a true and accurate record, please, Ms. Brown.
On both of them, there's something wrong. Where you got the armoury, it's not Ada Ward, it's Abbey Ward. It's on both meetings.
It's an Abbey Ward.
It's Abbey Ward.
Oh, right, it's in the spot now.
Mr. Mayor, I'm happy with the minutes of the 22nd of September, but I don't believe the meeting of the 26th of August is correct yet. I was present at that meeting, and I know I emailed with the clerk this morning, and I'm sorry if I muddied the waters a bit, because I was listed as being both present and absent, so the wrong name has been taken from the wrong place. But I'm not convinced that this is the meeting of that date. I think this is the meeting of the previous one. And I don't believe that this is the minutes of the 26th of August.
But the items do match the agenda.
In that case, I apologise, but I'm not convinced. We've had a discussion about burial ground.
That was in July.
So that's not being presented to the council.
That's true. It hasn't been presented, but that was overlooked for September. We overlooked this one, but we'll send that to the next meeting.
I apologise for
It
that.
did go to the planning committee, but it didn't end up being approved by town council. But that was the one where we talked about burial ground. It was one we talked about the bin.
Okay. But I was present to that meeting, so that is one area that was
Yes.
permitted. Yeah, yeah, I'd say yes.
Have you got anything further to say, or you've made your proposal?
No, I've made a proposal. I should.
I'd just like to point out I was also present at the meeting on the 26th of August.
And me as well.
Right. Okay. So this is the 26th. So I did make some amendments now on the 26th. I want to make sure that. So 26th of August, I've got in present
there seems to be disagreement with this. The town clerk will take it away and look at it and correct it, and we'll bring it back for ratification at the next meeting. You happy with that? Okay, thank you. As regards to the Personnel Committee meeting held on the 6th of October, those minutes are still to be written up, so they will be circulated and be brought to the next meeting for ratification. So I now move on to agenda item 10, finance.
Actually, Councillor Becker pointed out we could vote on the September ones for the plan.
Okay, in that case, you are proposing acceptance of the minutes of the 22nd of September. And do we have a second? Okay, Councillor Anne Lyon. Those in favour? Those against? Any abstentions? 2 abstentions. Agenda item 10, the finance. Papers have been circulated. They came out as email, and you have paper copies here as well. If there are any questions, are there any questions for the finance officer? Councillor Robert Howard.
Payments, £2,000 for waste skips in August alone. That's a lot of graves, though.
Yes, it's everything as well. It's fly tipping and all other waste, mowing waste, you know, the tree waste, all sorts of things. Hedge cutting waste.
On a yearly basis, it's huge. We've got to do something. I don't know quite what.
It's expensive. Yeah, on waste.
Just soil has a value.
We are using some of the topsoil that we dig from the grave, because some of the graves that are been there for some time, there's presumably a technical term for it, but they sort of
They drop.
they drop as the contents of the grave.
But decent topsoil soil has a value.
Yeah, no, but what we're going to do is we're going to try and fill in some of those divvies, so that means there will be less going into.
Hopefully, yeah. Photocopier 411 for just for August. Is that a yearly contract or a monthly or a
quarterly?
40, so it's 1,600. Is that good value, do you think? I don't know how much you use a photocopier these days.
Well, look at the amount of paper.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So it's yeah, I mean, we produce a lot of paper for you, but it's also, that's not just its cost, that's its lease cost as well.
Yeah.
So we pay an ongoing cost. We don't own the photocopy.
Yes, I realise that, most use, I just wonder whether it's better to buy it these days, I don't know.
Well, when we got the new supply, we did do a benchmarking exercise. We did get multiple quotes, so we did try and demonstrate best value on the price.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And Siemens, why disputed the invoice?
Okay, so Siemens was our original photocopier supplier, and we transferred agreements, and Siemens was supposed to be paid off by our current supplier, and something has gone wrong with that I'm trying to get to the bottom of at the minute. So Siemens are still charging us. They believe we still have a contract with them. It's something that we're in negotiation with the new people. But at the minute I'm marked them as disputed, so everybody's aware that it's a bill that we're having to pay, but we are aware that we shouldn't really be paying it, and we are trying to sort it out.
Okay, thank you.
So if it's disputed and you don't think you should be paying it, you are paying it?
Yes. Because we've got a contract, they don't. The way I understand it, and this is beyond my, the legalities of all this, we've signed a contract with Siemens quite many years ago, and the new contract with Tower Leasing are the new people something has gone wrong in that process, which we are trying to sort out. Siemens rightly believe we owe them money. The old contract was supposed to be paid off by the new people, and that bit hasn't happened, and we are trying to understand. So Siemens aren't doing anything wrong in actually charging us, because they've got no evidence to the contrary. So if we don't pay them, we will be in trouble. Up until this last month, it's all dealt with through, are they called a broker, the SOS? So we have a broker that, you know, a company that deals with all this for us. Up until now, they have always reimbursed the Siemens costs to us. So why we pay the bill, they then give us the money back. This last one is the first one that they haven't paid us back, and we are trying now every 2 days to try and get that money out. So it's very late as well. We are out of pocket, but we currently are, but we are going on it. We are trying to sort this out.
I've noticed on this Avon Hope tree services, and the tree inspection was £1,200 near enough. Could I make a suggestion that when we do some other tree work, we contact the chap that was doing the tree work for Edward Danter at the Mott, because he came and trimmed the tree just outside these offices. And he did an excellent job. You see him at night working, and he seemed a very amiable and helpful chap. He comes from Gloucester, but I was thinking of the trees in Riverside, you know, in the cemetery, and the work that's going to be done on those. We've had some quite expensive quotes.
I think that RTS are they carry out tree work, but I'm not sure they're inspectors. Adrian Hope is the inspector, and then we get quotes for the actual work from.
You know this chap?
Yeah, we know what it is. In fact,
I just thought he did a good job. And he removed our signpost, didn't he?
Yeah,
as Rob suggested. Yeah.
Any further questions on finance? Okay, thank you. And if we move on now then to the Christmas parking concession, agenda item 11. Which Avon District Council offer free parking in its car parks from 12 noon on one day in the run-up to Christmas. This would usually be held on the day of the Christmas light switch-on. This year, that is Saturday the 22nd of November. Which Avon officers have asked for confirmation on which day is preferred, and councillors' views are requested. Would anybody like to start?
Well, given that really the whole point of it is to encourage people to come into town for the light switch on, I see no reason why it should not be any day other than the light switch on. So I would like to propose that it is the day of the light switch on, even though I think that November is too early for Christmas, but that's a completely different matter.
Any further comments?
I was a bit disappointed this summer when we had free parking on the Creme Meadow by Witchhaven, the concession. Excellent. But nobody knew about it. Nobody knew about it. The Creme Meadows were free to park on for some while, and there was no advertising, there was no banners up, there was nothing. If you went up to the pay machine, it said free parking, and there was a small sign there. So if we have this concession, can I suggest that as a town, it comes out of our budget, if necessary, I don't know, can we put some adverts up so that say, come to Evesham, the lights are coming on, and you can park here free. Because people are going to come in and they're going to go, oh, it's free parking. We'd get a lot more people in if we advertised it and promote the town. That's my suggestion.
Get an item in the Evesham Journal.
They'll have the wrong date on it.
Just one point I'd like to make. If I don't know if this will go through Town Clerk to Witchhaven. It talks about free parking on one day. To me, 12 noon, when it's free parking after 6 o'clock anyway, is not one day. It's only half a day. Can a request be made to Witchhaven that it be a whole day, I would suggest from 8 o'clock through until 6 o'clock.
I asked that. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, if you're going for the option of a full day, one of 2 half days I think would be better, because you've got one for the switch off and then one closer to Christmas.
We used to have 3, didn't we? Years ago. We used to have 3 in a row.
Yeah, I think the idea of a second afternoon would be helpful. What day is your late night shopping?
We don't have anymore.
Your late night shopping?
We used to, when the Chamber of Commerce was in existence, around, but there is none of that now.
I've not been advised of any indication towards that.
So it's the 22nd of November is the afternoon you're looking for from 12 noon onwards, or do you want it all day, which would be slightly impedes the idea that they come for the light switch on?
What I was pointing out is they say one day. For me, a day is not from 12 o'clock. That was all. And it was just open for comment. I wasn't proposing it be from 8 o'clock. If the council want us to go back to Wychavon and request 2 half days, it's a question. It can be asked. If you don't ask the question, you don't get the answer.
What would be the second day?
Yeah.
I don't think, I think it's more semantics, really. I asked Wychavon about a day, and they said if you allow free parking for the entire day, what happens in practice is that everybody that works in the shops parks in all the parking spaces all day long, and then the shoppers have less opportunity to come into town. So that's why you have to pay for the morning. It solves that problem because the traders aren't part where they normally are. And then it's people coming in from the shops and the switch on specifically that then are able to utilise the free parking.
Yeah, just to address 3 separate points in this. Firstly, it's not for one day. It's free parking from 12 noon on one day. They've never offered us a whole day. The wording doesn't imply a whole day. It simply says a half day starting at midday. What Joe says is absolutely right. If you make it free all day, the car parks will fill up with commuters in the morning. This was the issue that we had. Do you remember when the parking was reduced to 20p an hour back in the days when the bridge was under construction? In practice, all it meant was that car parks were too full for shoppers because commuters parked in them because it was cheaper than parking anywhere else. So you don't necessarily, be careful what you wish for in things like this. Making them free all day won't necessarily help. And finally, on the Deputy Mayor's point, the free parking is part of the advertising of the switch on. It was last year anyway, so I certainly see no reason why it won't be this year. So, yeah.
Can you just have a look at it? What day is the switch on a Saturday or is it?
Saturday.
It's Saturday this year.
Okay, any further comments? Yes, please.
So I think the idea of having an additional half day just before Christmas is an excellent one. Can we also ask for that as well?
Last Saturday before Christmas.
Yeah. Because that would be good.
Okay, I'll ask the town clerk to contact the relevant authority and report back on that one. Any further questions then on Christmas parking concession? Okay, thank you. We now move on to agenda item 12, the Evesham Adventure Playground. Again, everyone's had notification of this, and it amounts to the Adventure Playground having been given a community legacy grant of £300,000 It just seems that the way that it is being organised and used is probably not in a way that it might otherwise be thought. Councillor Mark Gooch.
Yeah, I mean, having read the report, I mean, the Adventure Playground do an absolutely wonderful job, and this is a brilliant project for what they've got planned up there. What we're being asked to agree to isn't any change in the project itself or any change in the funding. It's just a change to the delivery timescale, but obviously because it's a community legacy grant and therefore it's funneled through the town council, we have to agree to any changes. But I'm entirely happy with these changes. I think if this makes the project more deliverable, then we should go along with this. Like I say, it's not going to affect the total amount of funding. It's not going to affect the project itself. It's just a way of structuring the delivery. So I'm happy to propose that we accept this as requested.
Okay, and Councillor, is that a comment or a second? Okay, thank you.
An excellent idea, I think.
Obviously, how do your eye
Sorry.
as it's in my ward, and as Councillor Gooch has already said, they do a fantastic job. If I could, I would third it, but
Okay, so we have a proposed and a second to accept the revised timings. Those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? We've done item 30, we now move on to item 14. Following the resignation of Councillor Bastow, there is now a vacancy on the Planning and Estates Committee. Town Clerk has received 2 nominations, of which details have been circulated. This will be a paper vote, and I propose it be a paper vote. Is there a second? Okay, second by Councillor Gooch. Those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? So it will be a paper vote. Piece of paper coming round from Sarah, the Finance Officer. What I ask you to do is write on there either Mark or Tim. And then there will be a paper card.
One of these names, please.
Any more for any more down there? No, I think a couple over here.
Okay. Papers have been counted by Town Clerk and Finance Officer, and congratulations, Matt, you are elected to the Planning and Estates Committee. They don't have to be broken down. I've consulted with the Town Clerk. If you have any issue with that, then you can speak to the Town Clerk.
Excuse me, he's not saying that you have to, he's just asked a polite question. You've been extremely rude back. There was no need for that. You don't have to break them down. If you just say, look, it's... I don't know why everyone has a problem with the attitude. It's awful. So it really is. Have some manners.
I can tell you the numbers if you'd like me to.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There were 17 votes for Councillor Jones and there were 4 votes for Councillor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on now to a request on the mock there. Basically, Evesham has requested to extend the mock fair next year.
Do we have to go out? Do we? No? Oh, sorry.
Okay. Dante's Fun Fairs has asked to extend next year's mock to include the Sunday, so we've run for 4 days, not 3. The paper is in front of you, you've had, and Deputy Mayor and Councillor Dibbery have offered to leave the room as they have direct involvement to the mock. Mark, you wish to ask that?
Yeah, I'll ask this while Bill and Celia are still in because they are maybe best placed to answer it, although Joe may know the answer also. Obviously, the fairground has a fair amount of lead time for organising it and everything. When do they need this decision made by so that they can make the necessary arrangements if they do have the extra day?
Well, I would have thought by Easter, you know, I would have thought, but I mean, really, Edward's on that, Edward Dante. But from my experience, running them up years ago, people were ringing me up in February to book their sites. Well, so I think he needs to know before Christmas then. Yeah. That's right. That's kind of what I expect. Yeah. Okay, we'll leave the room now, unless anybody else has anything else. No other comments? No.
Which is the best way to go with that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, right, I mean, on the substantive item itself, I don't have any great feelings either way as to whether it should or should not be allowed the extra time. But my feeling is that this is something that I think we ought to put out to the general public. So rather than make a decision now, I would like to propose that we actually do run a consultation on this and seek the views of both the general public and stakeholders, including retailers, voluntary groups and other organisations in the town that have either interact with the mop fair or are affected by it. Because I can see good reasons both for allowing it and for saying no, but I would not like us to make that decision in the absence of feedback from other people in the town.
Let's make a point that there was a traffic survey conducted during the mock fair. I would just like to wait till we make this decision until the results of that survey have been concluded, because my own personal experience is that I spent 2 hours in the queue from Tewkesbury to get home to Evesham. So I feel like the results of the survey may show that the road traffic may be worse during the mock fair, and it may be worth consulting with the public whether they want to weigh the additional traffic over having the mock fair for an additional day. But like Councillor Gooch says, I can see the benefits of it as well. So
how much of that time was actually in Evesham waiting to get through? Most of it?
I was coming from the M5, so I was from Tewkesbury, and it was caused by the roundabout at the football club.
So it's like an hour or so to get through Evesham, and then
It was about an hour and a half just to get from Tewkesbury through to the roundabout at Evesham because of all the traffic that was being backed up down Cheltenham Road.
I don't think it's helped by the amount of traffic lights everywhere too.
Yeah, I mean, it's why I want them to wait for the results of the.
Because it is a Sunday when the traffic tends
Just
to
so,
be less.
because that's my own personal experience. It may not have actually been the actual case. So wait for the actual hard data.
Okay.
Yeah,
Councillor Andy Dyke has his hand up to speak.
We seem to be dodging the issue, really. I understand what Mark and Matt are saying, but the sooner we can make a decision on this, the better. And where is this consultation going to be? How are you going to publicise? You know, is it only in the paper, or is it the paper and social media, or somebody standing on a corner with a clipboard? You know, how are we ever going to get the total number of people to do that? We are elected representatives of our residents, and we should be making that decision, and we've been asking that now, so that things can be put into place. So I think we should proceed with this. The only thing this doesn't say, as I've listened, I think it said somewhere that I read it's going to close at 8 p.m, which I don't think it says on here. So anyway, with that proviso, I think we should agree to this, and I propose that, with it finishing at 8 o'clock at night.
So you're proposing that it takes place through to the Sunday with a conclusion of 8 p.m. Okay. Then followed by.
Yeah, I read that it was to finish at 8 and to have everything off by midnight. I personally think that's too late. I'd be all up for it finishing earlier. It can cause a disruption to people in the town.
no, it does.
But in principle,
If they know in advance, then they will take arrangements.
yes, in principle, Sunday, yes, great. 8 o'clock finish time, not so great.
I don't think they make a lot of noise clearing up. It's true that when it's on, the noise is made.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's a school night as well on Sunday.
Sorry?
It's a school night on Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, that's up to the parents, isn't it?
Right, okay. Councillor Sharon Hemming.
I think it's a good idea. They're not saying what time they're opening. And I think possibly 7 o'clock would be better. As councillors said, it's a school night the next night. It just gives them that extra hour to clear up in case there's any problems because of obviously Monday morning rush hour traffic.
Any further comments?
Just to answer Councillor Dyke's question, I mean, if we run a consultation, we do it in the same way that we do any other consultation, which is we would put it on our website and we would advertise it by means of social media, the press, us telling people, making sure that we get it out there, the same as we would any other consultation, including the ones that we are legally obliged to do, like, for example, things like the New Homes Bonus. So it's not like it's doing something that we've never done before. But I do think that we should try to get particularly the opinion of the town centre businesses. I'd like to run this past the Place Board and other local groups as well, and the Evesham Notice Board people, because I think their input is very important to this. I know that there are some businesses that really benefit from the MOP fair, particularly the hospitality businesses. People come in and they go for a drink and then they go for a ride and then they have some food or whatever. But the retail businesses, on the other hand, trade drops during the MOB fair because people don't come into town while it's on. And particularly, this is something that I've heard from the supermarkets in particular in the town centre, is that they see, while the MOP is on, nobody comes into the town centre to them. If you go to Waitrose car park while the MOP is on, it's empty. But what happens is people just leave it a day and go do their weekly shop on Sunday instead, after the MOP's gone. If the MOP extends onto the Sunday, then that's going to disrupt the shopping, the retail, far more. So I do think we should get the input of the business community of Evesham before we make this decision. I think it matters to them, and I think we need to be showing that we do take their opinions into account.
Okay, thank you for that. But we do actually have a proposal that has been made, which I'll come back to in a moment.
With that, I think we need to consult as widely as we can, actually, on this.
Apparently, we've had a three-day opening before. I don't recall it. Did that happen very often?
It is 3 days.
Huh?
It is 3
Well,
days.
4 days, Sunday opening. So it says in the notes.
No.
Not in Evesham.
It's the day in between before they go to Tewkesbury, isn't it?
Tewkesbury goes forward, Tewkesbury goes to Sunday.
Yeah.
So when would you have all the data collected by?
We would aim...
If we did a survey, given that we don't have a full council in December, we would need to have it to make a decision on in January. I think that would be rapid. That's why I was asking Bill the question. I think that would be soon enough to get them a decision. We would collect the data over the rest of this year in order to inform our decision, which we would take at council in January.
Okay, obviously I've listened to what people have said, but we do still have a proposal that's been made.
My proposal was made first. So
somebody seconded it, we can take a vote on that first.
If I can just pick up on Councillor Hemming's point, if she will second the motion to finish at 7 o'clock, then I'm happy to change the proposal to 7 o'clock.
Okay, but as was identified by Mark, his proposal came first and has been seconded by Sam Baxter.
Oh,
So, Mark, would like to read your proposal, please?
Yeah, the proposal is simply that we run a consultation on this, engaging with as many interested partners as possible and collate the information responding with a view to making the decision at our meeting in January.
Can I, sorry to do backwards and forwards, Mr Mayor, but we need to know who's going to take this information, where is it going to be collated, who by, you can't just say we're going to have a consultation.
It will be done in exactly the same way as we have done other consultations, for example, New Homes. We will run it.
Who's we?
This council will run it on our website.
Who at this council? Yeah, we'll run it on the website. Who's actually going to collate all this stuff?
Well, that will ultimately be the...
I've just had an indication the town clerk will lead on that.
Yeah, we've done similar things with the ordinary. We had paper copies, we had a survey, so people could actually fill in the survey online. We had social media. We would probably drop something into the town centre businesses. We could ask the schools. I mean, we try and run it as widely as
But
possible.
how will you decide, I'm sorry to keep on with this point, how will you they're not in favour of it.
You count them. You count them. You ask, are you in favour
What
or are
do
you
you
not?
There's 27,000 people living in this town. Is it a percentage of that? No, it isn't. So how are you going to know? Yes, no? These people were in favour and these people weren't?
Take the survey results and see which they. I mean, if the survey has a sufficiently wide
response rate, then it will be a very good indicator of general public opinion anyway. But the more people who respond, the better. And we specifically need to ensure that we get as many responses as we can from the town centre's business community, which we can run through other organisations, including the Place Board, and through the district and county councils and councillors.
Councillor Minister.
Thank you. Sorry, it is quite hard for me. I'm learning to speak in this situation today. I would like to make the point that when doing a survey on such a matter, people who are against this are far more likely to respond, because I don't think that there is anybody who would be necessarily, oh yes, I'd like to have a 4th day, because if you go to the fair, you're just as happy to go on the Thursday, the Friday or the Saturday. So those people will be of the opinion, I don't care either way. Whereas those people, I live in the town centre, as does Councillor Bastow, doesn't bother me. I don't care one way or another. But I think that doing a survey will not give accurate results. It will give a huge amount of benefit to places like the Red Horse, the Island Chip Shop, the hospitality industry will have huge benefits. From a traffic point of view, if you live in the town centre, the traffic flows better out of the town. Fact. The Cheltenham Road situation, or any data taken, will be completely skewed because there were, at that time, 5 sets of temporary lights, one of which was on the Cheltenham Road, which did cause trouble. That would have happened. The traffic coming down Cheltenham Road, there was nothing stopping traffic coming this way. That will not be affected, traffic coming into town by the mob. I just feel that these results, as Councillor Dyke has said, what are you going to do with it? You're going to suddenly, who is going to respond to this? Majority of people, I would respond to it because I don't care one way or another. However, somebody who lives the other side of me and doesn't like the noise from it is more likely to object. I don't think it's a linear question of yes or no. I would thoroughly support Councillor Dyke's proposal.
Thank you. Councillor Stokes, followed by...
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it really is a case of, you mentioned earlier, Mark, about be careful what you wish for regarding the car parking. Any consultation on the MOP, and you're going to get people that are going to come back and say, don't want it at all, and what are you going to do with that? And it's once you've got that information, you have to act on it, and you have to be aware of it. So you may have things coming back that you don't want to know, and then are you going to ignore the consultation that comes back to you to keep 3 days or to go to 4, whichever? Because it's a little bit arbitrary. I am a firm believer we are elected members, we are grown up enough to make a decision, and there's a proposal in front of us, and we either go for the 4th day or we do not.
I think going off what Emma said, the idea for me is to get an idea of the business's views in the town while it's on. I've seen a Facebook post or comment, I can't remember who it was and I can't confirm or deny whether it was true, but they were saying that their business take-ins were seriously down during the MOP. So if we do have a 4th day, is that then going to be so catastrophic for them, they think, what's the point?
It's a Sunday, we're not open anyway.
Business is open on a Sunday?
No, you walk around here on a Sunday.
It is
The pubs are open, the restaurants are open, but businesses, I had a shop there for 20 years, they don't open.
Okay, can we have comments coming through the chair, please?
Yeah.
Councillor Minister.
Thank you. Sam, what I would say to counter what you have just said there is that I would argue that business was down because we were in the middle of Storm Amy at that time, and the town traffic was horrendous. So there are many reasons why takings could be down. The businesses that would be affected on a Sunday, there are not very many town shops which open on a Sunday. I know there are some, but in general, it would bring more people into the town on a Sunday than were otherwise going to be there. As for Waitrose, sorry, I couldn't care less. There's 5 or 6 other supermarkets that people can go to if they're that desperate and can't wait another day. And Waitrose car park is open. I understand what you're saying, but I don't think that we can look at what people have said about the conditions of the mop this year, because there were too many other factors going on at the same time this year.
Just on that point.
No, let's go first and then
I think having it for 4 days won't bring more people into the town because Ed Danton himself said because of the weather we'd like an extra day. If you're going to potentially go on a Thursday, Friday or Saturday, you might go, oh, you know what, I'll go and do something else and then go to the mop on the Sunday. I don't think it's necessarily going to bring more people to the town. I still think it's worth asking the businesses what their views are.
To a point of information, I know a couple of local businesses, and during the time of the mop, they basically closed down and wait for it to pass over them. They find damaging to their business, and they just give up, shut shop, and wait for it to go.
On a Sunday?
Yes, including on a Sunday.
What were those businesses?
May I ask what businesses need to?
Well, I don't have their permission to say, but they're local business. Just as a point of information.
Yeah, I think that's a valid observation and comment. I'm not sure that we actually need to know who. But, you know, I mean, there aren't many businesses that are open on a Sunday. And if 2 or 3 more are not open, that's their decision. It's not a town decision, it's their decision. But I take your point.
Just to say that with any sort of event like this, we think of lots of other examples, major football matches, etc., there is a balancing act between the gain and the disruption, and we need to know really where, or at any rate have a better idea where the balance lies for extending them up to an extra day. And I take Councillor Bastow's point that we're not necessarily going to get any more people by opening for an extra day. It's simply going to spread the people who would come already. So I'm in favour of doing the consultation.
Thank you. Just very quickly, may I address Councillor Raphael? He has a business, a hospitality business. Do you find any difference, higher or lower, during that time?
Personally, we close on Thursday and Friday at the mop because it's kills time.
I appreciate those access problems with maybe it wasn't the best business to. Is there anybody else here with a
So on that, I do know Felton's closed, and there was another one in town that closed. I think the barber closed. Might have been a holiday, but I think they chose to take the holiday on mop week.
It just seems bizarre because I'm sure a lot of people could eat in a restaurant if they're out in the evening.
It's not what happens on Friday.
comments?
I just want to say, if the perception is that the hospitality industry increases during the mock fair, then is it that people are using the hospitality provided by the fair itself rather than the local hospitality? This is something we won't know unless we do a consultation and actually find out from the businesses themselves.
The other comment I would make in the next to last paragraph is that whatever we say, it's still subject to statutory approvals from the police, Worcestershire County Highways, amongst others. You know, so we could agree, we could disagree, but they might turn around and go the other way. But we have been asked to make a decision, or whether it supports or doesn't support. I go back to it. We have a proposal from Councillor Margoon, seconded by Councillor Sambasto. Are there any other comments? Okay, in that case then, as it was a while ago, Mark, would you like to just quickly, briefly go back over your
The proposal is that we run a consultation on this and ascertain as far as possible the opinions of the local business and hospitality community as well as members of the public before making a decision. And I also take Matt's point about the information from the traffic survey would be useful when that comes back as well. Basically, I just think we should defer making this decision until we are in possession of far more information, and we should use that deferral time in order to get that information.
Okay, Councillor Sambasto, you're happy with that, the wording of that proposal? Mm-hmm. Okay, in that case, if there's no further comments, those in favour? Those against? Any abstentions? Okay, that is carried. Okay, thank you for that. We now move on to the last item. I'm conscious of time and the time limits for meetings. Update on the Almery restoration project. Would somebody like to open the door and let the leader back in? Thank you. Okay, the update on the Almery restoration project. The Town Clerk has requested that this go into private session because it involves elements of finance. So I will propose that we go into private session. Do I have a second? Councillor Marion Griffiths. Those in favour? Those against? Any abstentions? Okay, one abstention. Okay, so I need to ask members of the public and those who are not members of this council